Willie D. Live.
What's up, family? You get a subpoena. You get a subpoena. You get a subpoena. You get a subpoena. Yeah, fam. This Nolan Wells case is heating up. Maybe there'll be an investigation after all. On August 20th, subpoenas were filed on behalf of Nolan's estate, seeking records from the Sea-Tow Services International and Ward Marine Services, which operates Sea-Tow South Mississippi. The request seeks calls, records, dispatch records, and other material connected to the incident between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. on July 4th, including communications involving the captain, local crew, and people connected to the boat. The family is also seeking records showing whether anyone changed or canceled Sea-Tow's response, plus Sea-Tow's training material and procedures for handling reports of boats taking on water or sinking. That makes this broader than simply obtaining another copy of the already public distress call. The subpoenas could potentially establish who communicated with Sea-Tow after the initial call, what was said, and why assistance ultimately did or did not proceed. Man, hey fam, heads are about to roll. Now, the only question is, I'm thinking like, how much evidence was actually preserved? You know, you hear it all the time. You know, people's memories change, right? People go lost. You know, sometimes people actually die, you know, before these type of cases can be resolved, right? Or solved, right? So the question is, how much evidence do they really have to work with? So what changed? The Wells family's legal team is now using subpoenas to construct the marine response timeline surrounding the boat emergency, expanding its evidence gathering beyond the earlier subpoenas for Nolan's social media and location records. That's what changed. The legal team is now using subpoenas to reconstruct the marine response timeline surrounding the boat emergency, expanding its evidence gathering beyond the earlier subpoenas for Nolan's social media and location records. That's what changed. So I put together some notes here, fam, that I want to go over with y'all. So maybe we can offer a little bit more insight here, you know. And these are some arguments, you know, for the new Sea-Tow subpoenas that has expanded the Nolan Wells investigation. So let's get into it. You got the investigation. It is not narrowing, it's expanding. The family is now pursuing records beyond Nolan's personal communications. This is a big deal. This is a huge deal. The biggest question is, who made the decisions? The subpoenas could help establish who communicated with Sea-Tow after the initial request for assistance and what instructions were actually given. If assistance was canceled or changed, who did it and why? That is potentially more important than the original distress call. The full communication trail could show whether the response changed and on whose authority. On whose authority. The timeline matters. Records from roughly 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. on July 4th could help reconstruct events during a critical period before Nolan was reported missing. Dispatch records are harder to argue with than memories. Witnesses can misremember times and conversations. Call logs, recordings, and dispatch timestamps can provide an independent timeline. The subpoenas may reveal communications to the public that they have never heard. The released CETO audio may represent only part of the story. Now think about that, because a lot of us, we think, yeah, hey, man, that's the story. What if that's just part of the story? What if there's much more communications? What if there is actual distinct audio out there where you can tell, oh, that's such and such a voice, that's such and such? Oh, man. Oh, man. The family is seeking a broader set of calls and records. They believe something is out there. That is the only reason why they're doing this. They want to know, why wasn't all of this publicly accounted for earlier? If these records are potentially important to reconstructing Nolan's final hours, it's fair to ask whether law enforcement already obtained and analyzed them. The boat emergency and Nolan's disappearance cannot simply be treated as unrelated without examining the evidence. Investigators need to determine exactly what happened with the vessel, the request for assistance, and the subsequent decisions. CETO procedures could become important. The subpoenas reportedly seek policies and training concerning the boats taken on the water or sinking. That could establish what normally should happen after a distress call and whether the response in this case was unusual. A canceled response wouldn't automatically prove wrongdoing. There could be an innocent explanation, but I doubt it. That's exactly and precisely why obtaining the records matter. And here's the deal, fam. Nolan's friends, if they have not done anything wrong, they should actually be okay with that. CETO procedures could become important. The subpoenas reportedly seek policies and training concerning boats taking on water or sinking. That could establish what normally should happen after a distress call and whether the response in this case was unusual. A canceled response wouldn't automatically prove wrongdoing. That could be an innocent explanation. I doubt it, but there could be. That is precisely why obtaining the records matter. Don't speculate when documentation may provide an answer. This could test people's previous statements. Compare the contemporaneous calls, timestamps, and dispatch records against what witnesses later said happened. The family's attorneys are building their own evidentiary timeline. They're not simply holding press conferences and demanding answers. They're using legal process to seek records. This raises a question for the DA. Will all relevant CETO records be obtained and include in the evidence ultimately presented to the grand jury? Don't rush the evidence, just meet an artificial grand jury timetable. If these records reveal additional witnesses, communications, or discrepancies, those leads should be investigated first. The strongest argument is this, fam. Stop asking us whose story sounds believable. Get the records. Yeah, man, let's get those records. Phone logs, recordings, and timestamps. They might tell us more than any round of interviews. Bottom line, somebody knows exactly what happened to Nolan with that CETO response. The beauty of the subpoenas are we don't have to guess anymore. Yeah, fam. Get the call logs. Get the video. Get the photographs. Get the timestamps so we can get justice. No more talk.